Good evening, everyone. Hello, and thank you joining me and everyone. Before the teachings, we are going to do the prayers as a tune-up of our motivation, devotion, attention, and fellowship. Thank you for everyone being here. Let's do the prayers. Oyenda Buddha Dharma Sangha Aitere Vide Enlightenment Bhavache Ayendala Ashare Buddha Hujue Enda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Vide Enlightenment Bhavache Ayendala Ashare Buddha Hujue Enda Buddha Dharma Sangha Aitere Vide Enlightenment Bhavache Ayendala Ashare Buddha Hujue. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a power of happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a power from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment. May all beings have happiness, the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a power from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment. God intelligence and position of So, thank you very much, everyone. Once again, we are here to tune our mind so that we learn how to navigate our mind. And when we know how to see our mind and learn to think positive thoughts and learn to not to host any negative thoughts, you could see how much peace and joy and friendliness we are experiencing. So these teachings that we are listening and reading are very blessed writings of blessed teachings of the Buddha that are penned down by Buddhagosha, who is a very celebrated arhat and author. To the Theravadins, Buddhagosha is probably as important as Nagarjuna is to the Mahayanists, because they don't accept Nagarjuna's historicity of it, but they have no dispute about Buddhagosha. So I think we, as a somewhat arrogant Mahayanist, should learn to read the Theravada literature, and we, of course, never disregard their writings as non-teachings of the Buddha. So, and of course, they are really, really true to the core teachings of the Buddha. So, the chapter we are reading is on the 12 links of interdependent origination, when we are on page 665. So, thank you. You can really meditate as you're listening. As you can listening is a meditation too, Of course, being able to follow words, if you have a book with you, of course, is very meditative, very, very good for the mindfulness. I find it very, very helpful for me to keep my mind line by line, not jump. so it's a very good karma for me to read such a small print. Thank you. It's very. I have lots of good karma, and with your kindness to listen to me. Thank you, everyone. Okay, how clinging is a condition for becoming. So this becoming means how things happen. Things happen not because someone does something, it's because we are clinging to them. It's very important. But which is condition for which kind of becoming, in what way here? Now, clinging as condition for becoming, both fine material and immaterial, is decisive support and then connaissance and so on for the sense desire kind. This clinging, though fourfold, is a condition in only one way, as a decisive support, condition for becoming both fine material and immaterial, that is for the profitable karma in the karma process becoming, that takes place in sense desire becoming, and for the rebirth process becoming. It is a condition as connaissance and so on, that is, as connaissance, mutuality, support, association, presence, non-disappearance, root cause condition. For the unprofitable karma process becoming associated with the fourfold clinging itself in the sense desire becoming, but it is a condition as decisive support only for that which is disassociated. This is the detailed explanation of the clause with clinging as condition becoming. So the becoming means becoming means birth. So next one is birth, 11 to 12, birth, etc. As regards to the clause with becoming as condition, birth, etc., definition of birth should be understood in the way given in the description of truths. Only karma process becoming is intended here as a becoming, for it is that, not rebirth process becoming, which is a condition for birth. But it is a condition in two ways, as karma condition, as a decisive support condition. Here it may be asked, but how is it to be known that becoming is a condition for birth? Because of the observable difference of inferiority and superiority. For in spite of equality of external circumstances such as father, mother, seed, blood, nutriment, etc., the difference of inferiority and superiority of beings is observable even in the case of twins. And with that fact is not causeless, since it is not present always and in all, nor has it any cause other than karma process of becoming, since there is no other cause, no other reason in the external continuity of beings generated by it. Consequently, it has only karma process becoming for its cause. And because karma is the cause of difference of inferiority and superiority among beings of blessed, one said, it is karma that separate beings according to inferiority and superiority. From that, it can be known that becoming is a condition for birth. And when there is no birth, neither aging or death, nor the states beginning with sorrow come about. But when there is birth, then aging and death comes about, and also the state beginning with sorrow, which are either bound up in aging and death in a fool, who is affected by the painful states called aging and death, or which are not so bound up in who is affected by some painful state or other. Therefore, this birth is a condition for aging and death, and also for sorrow and so on. But it is a condition in one way as a decisive support type. This is the detailed explanation of clause with becoming the condition as condition birth. Section C, the will of becoming. the wheel. Now here at the end, sorrow, etc. are stated. Consequently, the ignorance stated in the beginning of the wheel of becoming, thus, with ignorance as condition, there are formations, is established by the sorrow and so on. So it should be according to understood that becoming's wheel reveals no non-beginning, no maker, no experiencer there, void with a twelvefold voidness, and nowhere it ever holds, for ever it is spinning. But 1. How is ignorance established by sorrow, etc.? How has the becoming of will of becoming no non-beginning? How is there no maker of experience there? How is it a void with twelvefold voidness? 1. Sorrow, grief, and despair are inseparable from ignorance, and lamentation is found in one who is deluded. So, firstly, when they are established, ignorance is established. Furthermore, with the arising of cankers, there is a rising of ignorance, he said. And with the arising of canker, these things beginning with sorrow come into being. How? Firstly, sorrow about separation from sense desire as object has its own arising in the canker of sense desire, according as it is said. If desiring and lusting his desire eludes him, he suffers as though an arrow had pierced him. And according as it is said, sorrow springs from sense desires, and all these come about with the arising of the cankers of the view, according as it is said, in one who possesses the view, I am materiality, my materiality, with the change and transformation materiality, there arise sorrow and lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. And as with the arising of cankers of view, so also with the arising of cankers of becoming, according it is said, then whatever deities there are, long-lived, beautiful, blissful, long resident in grand palaces, when they hear the Perfect One's teaching of the Dhamma, they feel fear, anxiety, and sense of urgency, as in the case of deities harassed by the fear of death on seeing the 5 signs. And as with the arising of cankers of becoming, so also with the cankers of ignorance, according as it is said, the fool bhikkhus experiences pain and grief here and now in 3 ways. Now, these states come about with the arising of cankers, and so when they establish their cankers, which are the cause of ignorance. And when the cankers are established, ignorance is also established because it is present when its condition is present. This, in the first place, is how ignorance should be understood, to be established by sorrow and so on. But when ignorance is established, since it is present, when its condition is present, and when with ignorance as condition there are formations, with formation is condition, consciousness, there's no end to the succession of cause with the fruit in this way. Consequently, the wheel of becoming with 12 factors revolving with the linking of cause and effect is established as having no non-beginning. These being so are not words with ignorance as condition they are formation, as an exposition of a single beginning contradicted. This is not exposition of a simple beginning. It is an exposition of basic state. For ignorance is the basic state of the 3 rounds. It is owing to this ceasing ignorance that the fool gets caught in the round of remaining defilements, in the rounds of karma, etc., just as it is owing to seizing snake's head and arms gets caught in the coils of the rest of snake's body. But when the cutting of ignorance is affected, he is liberated from them, just as the arm caught in the coils is liberated when the snake's head is cut off, according as it is said, with the remainderless fading away and cessation of ignorance, and so on. So this is an exposition of the basic state whereby there bondage for him which grasp it, liberation for him who let it go. It is not an exposition of a simple beginning. This is how the wheel of becoming should be understood, to have no non-beginning. The wheel of becoming consists of occurrence of formation, etc., with ignorance, etc., as a respective reason. Therefore, it is devoid of a maker supplementary to that, such as a Brahma conjecture as Brahma, the great, the highest, the creator, to perform the function of maker of the round of rebirth. And it is devoid of any self as an experiencer of pleasure or pain conceived. Thus, this self is mine that speaks and feels. This is how it should be understood, to be without any maker or experiencer. However, ignorance, and likewise the factors consisting of formation, etc., is void of lastingness, since its nature is to rise and fall. It is void of beauty, since it is defiled with causes of defilement. It is void of pleasure, since it is oppressed by rise and fall. It is void of any selfhood susceptible to the wielding of power, since it exists dependent on condition or ignorance, and likewise the factors consisting of formation, etc., is neither self nor in self nor possess of self. That is why this wheel of becoming should be understood thus: void with 12-fold voidness. The 3 times. And after knowing this, again, the roots of ignorance and craving, its times are 3, as past and so on, to which they properly belong, 2, 8, and 2 from its 12 factors. The 2 things, ignorance and craving, should be understood as root of the wheel of becoming. Of the derivation from the past, ignorance is the root of feeling and the feeling the end, and of the continuation of the future. Craving is the root, and aging and the death are the end. It is twofold in that way. Herein, the first applies to one whose temperament is false view, and the second to one whose temperament is craving. For in the round of rebirth, ignorance leads those whose temperament favors false views, and craving those whose temperament favors craving. Or the first has the purpose of eliminating the annihilation view, because by the evidence of the fruit, it proves that there is no annihilation of the causes. And the second has the purpose of eliminating the eternity view, because it proves the aging and death of whatever has arisen. Or the first deals with the child in the womb, because it illustrates successive occurrence of the faculties, and the second deals with the apparitionally born, because of their simultaneous appearance. The past and present and future are 3 times. Of these, it should be understood that according to what is given as such in the text, the 2 factors, ignorance and formation, belong to the past time. The 8 beginning with consciousness belong to the present time, and the 2, birth and aging and death, belong to the future time. Cause and fruit. Again, it should be understood thus. 1, it has 3 links with cause, fruit, and cause as first part, and 2, 4 different sections. 3, its spokes are 20 qualities. 4, with triple round, it spins forever. 1, herein, between formation and rebirth linking consciousness, there is 1 link consisting of cause, fruit. Between feeling and craving, there is 1 link consisting of root, fruit, cause. And between becoming and birth, there is 1 link consisting cause and fruit. This is how it should be understood, that it has 3 links with cause, fruit, cause at first part. But there are 4 sections, which is determined by the beginning and ends of the links. That is to say, ignorance, formation in one section, consciousness, mentality, materiality, 6-fold sense, 6-fold base, contact, feeling is the second, craving, clinging, becoming is the third, birth, aging, and death is the 4th. This is how it should be understood to have 4 different sections. 3. Then there are 5 causes in the past, and now there is 5-fold fruit. There are 5 causes now as well, and in the future there are 5-fold fruit. It is according to the 20 spokes called qualities that the words its spokes are 20 qualities should be understood. Herein, as regards the words, there are 5 causes in the past. Firstly, only these 2, namely ignorance and formation, are mentioned. But one thing is, one who is ignorant hankers, and hankering, clinging, and clings, hankering, clings, and with clinging as condition, there is becoming. And therefore, craving, clinging, and becoming are included as well. Hence, it is said that the previous karma process becoming, there is a delusion, which is ignorance, there is accumulation, which is formation, there is attachment, which is craving, there is embracing, which is clinging, there is volition, which is becoming. Thus, these 5 things in the previous karma process becoming are conditions for rebirth linking here in the present becoming. Herein, in the previous karma process becoming means the karma process becoming done in the previous birth, there is delusion, which is ignorance, means that the delusion that there then was about suffering, deluded, whereby the man did the karma, was ignorance. There is accumulation, which is formation, means the prior volition arisen in one who prepares the things necessary for a gift during a month, perhaps, or a year, after he has had a thought, I shall give a gift. But it is the volition of one who is actually placing the offering in the recipient's hand that are called becoming. Or alternatively, it is the volition that is accumulation in 6 of the impulsion of a single adverting, that is called formation, and the seventh volition is called becoming, or any kind of volition is called becoming, and accumulation associated therewith is called formation. There is for attachment, which is craving, means that in performing karma, whatever attachment there is, an aspiration for fruit, as rebirth process becoming is craving. There is embracing, which is clinging, means that the embracing, the grasping, and adherence, which is a condition for karma process becoming, and occurs thus, by doing this I will persevere, or I shall cut off, since desire is such and such place, is called clinging. There is volition, there is becoming, there is volition which is becoming, means the kind of volition stated already at the end of sentence dealing with the accumulation is becoming. This is how meaning should be understood. B. And now there is fivefold fruit, means what is given in the text beginning with consciousness and ending with feeling, according as it is said. Here, the present becoming, there is a rebirth linking, which is consciousness. There is a descent in the womb, which is mentality, materiality. There is sensitivity, which is sense-based, and that is there is what is touch, which is contact. There is what is felt, which is feeling. These 5 things herein, the present rebirth process becoming have their conditions in karma done in the past. Herein, there is a rebirth linking, which is consciousness, means that is what is called rebirth linking, because it arises linking the next becoming that is consciousness. There is descent into womb, which is mentality, materiality, means that is what consists in the descent of the material and immaterial states into a womb, and their arrival and entry, as it were, that is mentality, materiality. There is sensitivity, which is sense-based. This is said of the sense bases beginning at the eye. There is what is a touch, which is contact, means that which is what is arisen when the object is touched or in the touching of it. That is contact. There is what is felt, which is feeling, means that is which is felt as a result karma that is arisen in together with the rebirth linking consciousness, or with the contact that has has sixfold base as a condition, that is feeling. Thus, that should be meaning. Thus should the meaning be understood. See, there are 5 causes now as well, means craving and so on. Craving, clinging, and becoming are given in the text, but when becoming is included, the formation that precede in or precede it or that are associated with are included too. And by including craving and clinging, the ignorance associated with them, deluded by which a man performs karma, is included too. So there are 5. Hence it is said here in the present becoming with the maturing of base, there is a delusion, which is ignorance. There is accumulation, which is formation. There is attachment, which is craving. There is embracing, which is clinging. There is volition, which is becoming. And these 5 things, herein present karma process becoming, are conditioned for rebirth linking in the future. Herein the words here, in the present becoming with the maturing of the sense, maturing of the basis, point out delusion existing at the time of performance of a karma in one whose base have matured. The rest is clear. D. And in the future, 5-fold fruit. The 5 beginning with consciousness, they are expressed by the term birth. But aging and death is the aging and death of these 5 themselves. Hence, it is said, in the future there is rebirth linking, which is consciousness. There is descent into the womb, which is mentality, materiality. There is sensitivity, which is sense-based. And there is what is touch, which is contact. There is what is felt, which is feeling. Thus, these 5 things in future rebirth processing becoming have their conditions. In karma done here, in the present becoming, so is the wheel of becoming has 20 spokes with these qualities. 4. With triple round, it spins forever. Here, formation and becoming are the round of karma. Ignorance, craving, and clinging are the round of defilements. The consciousness, mentality, materiality, 6-fold base, contact, and feeling are the round of fruit, round of result. So, this wheel of becoming, having triple round with these 3 rounds, should be understood to spin, revolving again and again forever, for the conditions are not cut off as long as the round of defilement is not cut off. Number 4, various. As it spins thus, 1, as to the source in the 4 truth, as to the function, 3 prevention, as 2, as to the function, 3 prevention, 4 similes, 5 kinds of profundity, 6 methods, it should be known accordingly. Here, 1, as to the source of truths, profitable and unprofitable karma are stated in the Vivanga without distinction as the origin of suffering, and so formation due to ignorance stated. With ignorance as the condition, their formation are the second truth, which is the second truth as source. Consciousness due to formation is first truth, and the second truth as a source. The state beginning with the mentality, materiality, and ending with the resultant feeling, due to respective to consciousness, etc., are the first truth, which with the first truth as a source. Craving due to feeling is the second truth, with the first truth as a source. Clinging due to craving is the second truth, which is the second truth as the source. Becoming due to clinging is the first and second truth, with the second truth as source. Birth due to becoming is the first truth, with second truth as a source. Aging and death due to birth is the first truth, with the first truth as a source. This is the first place. This in the first place is how wheel of becoming should be known as to the source of 4 truths in whichever way is appropriate. That's about 4 truths, 4 noble truths. As to function, number 2, ignorance confuses being about physical objects of sense desire and is a condition for the manifestation of formation. Likewise, karma formation from the formed and are the condition for consciousness. Consciousness recognizes an object and is a condition for mentality materiality. Mentality materiality is mutually consolidating and is conditioned for sixfold base. Sixfold base occurs with the respect to its own separate objective fields and is a condition for contact. Contact touches an object and is a condition for feeling. Feeling experience the stimuli of the object, and that is a condition for craving. Craving lusts after lust arousing things and is a condition for clinging. Clinging clings to clinging arousing things and is a condition for becoming. Becoming flings beings into various kinds of destiny and is a condition for birth. Birth gives birth to aggregates owing to occurring of the generation and is a condition for aging and death. And aging and death ensures the decay and dissolution of the aggregate and is a condition for the manifestation of next becoming because it ensures sorrow, etc. So with the will of becoming should be known accordingly as occurring in two ways as to function whichever way appropriate to each of its parts. As to the prevention, to close with ignorance as a condition, their formation prevents seeing the maker. The close with formations as a condition, consciousness prevents seeing the transmigration of a self. The close with condition as a condition, as a consciousness as a condition, mentality materially prevents the perception of compactness because it shows the analysis of the base conjecture to be self. And the clauses beginning with mentality material as a condition, the sixfold base prevents seeing any self that sees, etc., cognizes, touches, feels, craves, clings, becomes, is born, ages, and dies. So this wheel of becoming should be known as to prevention of wrong seeing appropriately in each instance. For, as to simile, ignorance is like the blind man, because there is no seeing states according to their specific and general characteristic. Formation with ignorance as condition are like the blind man's stumbling. Consciousness formation as conditions like the stumblers falling. Mentality materiality with the consciousness as condition is like the appearance of a tumor on the fallen man. The sixfold base with the mentality material as a condition is like the gathering that makes the tumor burst. Contact with the sixfold base as condition is like hitting the gathering in the tumor. Feeling with contact as a condition is like the pain due to the blow. Craving with the feeling as condition is like a longing for a remedy. Clinging with craving as condition is like seizing what is unsuitable through longing for a remedy. Becoming with clinging as a condition is like applying the unsuitable remedy sees. Birth with the becoming is a condition like the appearance of a change for the worse in the tumor owing to the application of an unsuitable remedy. And aging and death with the birth as a condition is like the bursting of the tumor after the change. Or again, ignorance here. Or again, as ignorance here, as no theory or wrong theory, befalls beings as a cataract does the eyes. The fool befogged by it involve himself in formation that produce further becoming, as a cocoon spinning caterpillar does with the strands of the cocoon. Consciousness, guided by the formation, establishes itself in the destiny as a prince guided by a minister established himself on the throne. Death consciousness, conjecturing about the science of rebirth, generate mentality materially in its various aspects in rebirth linking, as a magician does an illusion. The sixfold base planted in mentality materially reaches growth, increase, and fulfillment as a forest thicket does planted in good soil. Contact is born from the impingement of the base, as fire is born from the rubbing together of fire sticks. Feeling is manifested in one when in one touch by contact, as burning is in touch by fire. Craving increases in one who feels the thirst does in one who drinks salty water, and one who is parched with craving conceives longing for the kinds of becoming. As a thirsty man does not drink, does for drinks, that is his clinging. By clinging he clings to becoming, as a fish does to the hook through greed for the bait. When there is becoming, there is birth, and when there is a seed, there is shoot, and death is certain for one who is born, as falling down is for a tree that has grown up. So this wheel of becoming should be known thus as to simile to in whichever way it is appropriate. 5 kinds of profundity. Now the Blessed One's word, this dependent origination is profound ananda, and profound it appears refer to profundity of A of meaning, B of law, C of teaching, and D of penetration. So this wheel of becoming should be known as to the kinds of profundity in whichever way is appropriate. Herein, the meaning of aging and death produced and originated with birth as condition is profound, owing to difficulty in understanding its origin with birth as a condition. Thus, neither does aging and death nor come about from birth, nor failing birth does it come about from something else. It arises only from birth, which precisely that nature of aging and death. And the meaning of birth, which with becoming as condition, and meaning of formation, produced and originated with ignorance as condition, are traceable treatable in like manner. That is why this wheel of becoming is profound in meaning. This firstly is the profundity meaning here, for it is the fruit of a cause that is called meaning, according as it is knowledge about the fruit of a cause is the discrimination of meaning. B, the meaning of the ignorance as condition for formation is profound, since it is difficult to understand in what made and on what occasion ignorance is a condition for several formation. Meaning of birth as a condition for aging and death is similarly profound. That is why the wheel of becoming is profound in law. That is the profundity of law here. For law is a name for cause, according as it is said, knowledge about cause is discrimination of law. C. Then the teaching of this dependent origination is profound, since it needs to be given in various ways for various reasons, and none that omniscient knowledge gets fully established in it. For in some places in the sutras it is taught in forward order, in some in backward order, in some in forward and backward order, in some forward or in backward order, starting from the middle, in some in 4 sections and 4 links, in some in the 3 sections 2 links, and some in 2 sections and 1 link. That is why this wheel of becoming is profound in teaching. This is profound if profundity of teaching. D. Then the individual essence of ignorance, etc., owing to the penetration of which ignorance, etc., are rightly penetrated as to their specific characteristic, are profound since they are difficult to fathom. That is why this will of becoming is profound in penetration. For here the meaning ignorance as unknowing and unseeing and non-penetration of the truth is profound. So it is the meaning of formation as forming and accumulating with and without greed. So is the meaning of consciousness as void, uninterested, and manifestation, rebirth, linking without transmigration, as is the meaning of mentality, material as simultaneous arising, as resolved into components and not, and as bending onto the object, namana, and being molested, rupana. So is the meaning of sixfold base as predominance, world, door, field, and possessions of objective fields. So is the meaning of contact as touching, impingement, coincidence, and concurrence. So is the meaning of feeling as the experiencing of the stimulus of an object, as pleasure or pain or neutrality, as soulless, and as what is felt. So is the meaning of craving as a delighting in, as a committal to, as a current, as a bind, sweet, as a river, as an ocean of craving, and as impossible to fill. So is the meaning of clinging and grasping, seizing, misinterpreting, adhering, and hard to get by. So is the meaning of becoming as accumulating, forming, and flinging into various kinds of generation, destiny, station, and abode. As so is the meaning of birth, as birth, coming to birth, descent into the womb, rebirth, a manifestation, and so is the meaning of aging and death as destruction, fall, breakup, and change. This is profundity of penetration. 6. Then there are 4 methods of treating the meaning here. There are A, the method of identity, B, the method of diversity, C, the method of uninterest, and D, the method of ineluctable regularity. So this will of becoming should be known accordingly as to the kinds of methods. A, herein the non-interruption of the continuity in this way. With ignorance as a condition there is formation, with formation as a condition consciousness, just like the seeds reaching that state of tree through the state of shoot, etc., is called method of identity. One who sees these rightly abandons the annihilation view by understanding the unbrokenness of the continuity that occurs through the linking of cause and fruit, and one who sees it wrongly clings to the eternity view by apprehending identity in the non-interruption of the continuity that occurs through the linking of cause and fruit. B, the defining of individual characteristic of ignorance, etc., is called the method of diversity. One who sees these rightly abandons the eternity view by seeing the arising of each new state. And one who sees it wrongly clings to the annihilation view by apprehending individual diversity in the event in single continuity as though it were a broken continuity. C, the absence of interestedness on the part of ignorance, such as formation must be made to occur by me, or on the part of formation such as consciousness must be made to occur by us, and so on. It is called method of uninterestedness. One who who sees this rightly abandons the self-view by understanding the absence of a maker. One who sees it wrongly clings to material, moral inefficiency of actions view, which he does not perceive that the causative function of ignorance, etc., is established as a law by their respective individual essence. D. The production of only formation, etc., respectively, and no others with ignorance, etc., as the respective reasons, like that of curd, etc., with milk, etc., and the respective reasons, is called a method of ineluctable regularity. One who sees this rightly abandons the no-cause view and the moral inefficacy of action view by understanding how the fruit accords with its conditions. One who sees it wrongly by apprehending is as a non-production of anything from anything, instead of apprehending the occurrence of the fruit in accordance with the condition, clings to no-cause view and to the doctrine of fatalism. So this wheel of becoming. Wow. As to the source of the Four Truths, as to the function, prevention, similes, kinds of profundity, and the methods should be known accordingly. There is no one, even in dream, who has got out of the fearful round of some rebirth, which is ever destroying like a thunderbolt, unless he has severed with the knife of knowledge, well whetted on the stone of sublime concentration, this wheel of becoming, which offers no footing owing to its great profundity and is hard to get by owing to the maze of many methods. And this has been said by the Blessed One. This dependent origination is profound, Ananda, and profound it appears. And Ananda, it is through not knowing, through not penetrating it, that this generation has become tangled skein, tangled skein, a knotted ball of thread, a root matted as a reed bed, and finds no way out of the round of rebirths, with its states of loss, unhappy destiny, perdition. Therefore, practicing for his own and others' benefit and welfare, and abandoning the other duties, let a wise man with mindfulness so practice that he may begin to finding a footing in the deeps of this dependent origination. The 17th chapter, concluding the description of the soil in which understanding grows, in the treatise on the development of the understanding in the path of purification, composed for the purpose of gladdening good people. See, you're all good people. You're gladdening good people. Good people who can see by listening to it, they can get. So that concludes that chapter. Now we come to chapter 8. Chapter 18. Chapter 18. Chapter 18. Because 8 is conditioned by the 10 before it, so therefore it's description of purification of view. So disti Vishuddhimagga. So now it is said earlier that he should first fortify his knowledge by learning and questioning about those things that are the soil, after he has perfected the two purification virtue, purification consciousness, that are the roots. Now of those, purification virtue is quite purified, fourfold virtue, beginning with patimoksha, restraint, and that has already been dealt with in detail of description of the virtue, chapter 1 and 2, and purification consciousness, namely the eight attainments, together with the excess concentration, has been dealt with in detail in all as its aspect. Description of concentration, chapter 3 and chapter 3 to chapter 8, stated under the heading of consciousness in the introductory verse. So these two purifications should be understood in detail as given there. But it was said above that the 5 purification view, purification by overcoming doubt, purification by knowledge on the vision of what is the path, what is not the path, purification of knowledge and vision by way, and purification by knowledge and vision are the trunk. Here in purification view is the correct seeing mentality, materiality. Defining mentality, materiality, definition based on the four remarks. A. Starting with mentality. One who wants to accomplish this, if firstly his vehicle is serenity, should emerge from any fine material or immaterial jnana, except the base consisting of neither perception nor non-perception, and he should discern according to characteristic, function, etc., the jnana factors consisting of applied thought, etc., and the states associated with them, that is feeling, perception, and so on. When he has done so, all that should be defined as mentality in the sense of bending because of its bending on to the object. Then, just as a man, by following a snake that he has seen in his house, finds its abode, so too these meditators scrutinize that mentality. He seeks to find out what its occurrence is supported by, and he sees that it is supported by the matter of the heart. After that, he discerns as materiality the primary elements, which are the heart supports, and the remaining derived kinds of materiality that have the elements as their support. He defines all that as materiality because it is molested by cold, etc. After that, he defines in brief the mentality materiality, the mentality that has the characteristic of bending, and the materiality that has the characteristic of being molested. B. Starting with the materiality. But one whose vehicle is pure inside, or that same aforesaid one whose vehicle is serenity, discern the 4 elements in brief or in detail in one of the various ways given in the chapter on the definition of the 4 elements. Then, when the elements have become clear, in their correct essential characteristics. Firstly, in the case of head hair originated by karma, there become plain 10 instances of materiality. With the body decade, thus the 4 elements: color, odor, flavor, nutritive essence, the life, and the body sensitivity. And because the sex decade is present there too, there are another 10, that is the same 9 with sex instead of body sensitivity. And since the octad with nutritive essence as 8, that is the 4 elements and colors, orders, flavor, and nutritive essence originated by the nutriment, and that originated by temperature, and that originated by consciousness are present there. True, there are another 24. So there is a total of 44 instances of materiality in the case of each of the 24 bodily parts of fourfold origination. But in the case of the 4, namely sweat, tear, spittle, and snot, which are originated by temperature, And by consciousness, there are 16 instances of materiality with the 2 octets with the nutritive essence as 8 in each. In the case of the 4, namely gorge, dung, pus, and urine, which are originated by temperature, 8 instances of materiality become plane, in which with the octet with nutritive essence as 8 in what is originated by the temperature. This in the first place is the method in the case of the 32 bodily aspects. But there are 10 more aspects that become clear when those 32 aspects have become clear. And as regards these, firstly, 9 instances of materiality, that is octet with nutritive essence as 8 plus life become plain in the case of karma-born part of heat, fire, that digests what is eaten, etc. And likewise, 9 instances of materiality, that is octet with the nutritive essence as 8, thus plus sound in the case of the consciousness born a part of air consisting of in-breath and out-breath, the 33 instances of materiality, that is karma-born, life innate, and the 3 octets with the nutritive essence as 8th, is the case of each of the remaining 8 parts that are fourfold origination. And when these instances of materiality derived by clinging from the primaries have thus become plain in detail in the case of these 42 aspects, that is 32 parts of the body, 4 modes of fire, 6 modes of air, another 60 instances of materiality become plain with the physical heart basis and 5 sense doors, that is with the heart basis decad and 5 decades beginning with the I decade. Taking all these together under the characteristic of being molested, he sees them as materiality. When he has thus discerned materiality thus, immaterial states become plain to him in accordance with the sense doors. That is to say, the I, 81 kinds of mundane consciousness consisting of the 2 sets of the 5 consciousness, the 3 kinds of mind element, and the 68 kinds of mind consciousness element, and then 7 consciousness concomitant, that is contact, feeling, perception, volition, life, steadiness of consciousness, and attention, which are invariably connections with all these consciousness. The supermundane kinds of consciousness, however, are not discernible either by one who's practicing pure insight, or by one whose vehicle is serenity, because they are out of their reach. Taking all these immaterial states together under the characteristic of bending, he sees them mentality. This is how one meditator defines mentality, materiality in detail through the method of defining the 4 elements. 2. Definition based on the 18 elements. Another does it by means of 18 elements. How? Here a bhikshu considers the elements thus. They are in the person, I element, the mind, mind consciousness element. Instead of taking the piece of flesh variegated with white and black circles, having length and breadth, and fastened in the eye socket with a string of sinew, which the world terms an eye, he defines as eye element and eye sensitivity of the kind described among the kinds of derived materiality in the description of the aggregates. But he does not define the eye element, the remaining instances of materiality, which totals 53. That is the 9 connaissance instances of materiality consisting of the 5 primary elements, which are its its support. 4 concomitant instances of materiality, namely colors, order, flavor, nutritive essence, and the sustaining life faculty, and also the 20 karma-born instances of materiality. There are 2, consisting of bodily decade and sex decade, and 24 unclung 2 instances of materiality, consisting of the 3 octads with nutritive essence as 8th, which are originated by nutriment and so on. The same method applies to the ear element and the rest, but in the case of bodily element and the remaining instance of materiality or materiality total to 43, though some say 45, by adding sound and making 9 each for the temperature-born and consciousness-born sound. So these 5 sensitivities and their 5 respective objective fields, that is visible data, sounds, order, flavor, tangible data, makes 10 instances of materiality, which are 10 of the 18 elements. The remaining instances of materiality are mental data elements only. The consciousness thus that occur with the eye as it supports and contingent upon the visible datum is called eye consciousness element, and likewise with the ear and so on. In this way, the 2 sets of 5 consciousness are the 5 conscious element. The 3 kinds of consciousness consisting of mind element, 39, 55, 70, are single mind element. The 68 kinds of mind consciousness element are the mind conscious elements. So all the 81 kinds of mundane consciousness make up 7 kinds of conscious element, and the contact, etc., associated therewith are the mind mental data element. So 10.5 elements are the materiality, 7.5 elements are mentality. This is how one meditator defines mentality materially by means of 18 elements. 3. Definition based on the 12 bases. Another does it by means of 12 bases. How? He defines as I base the sensitivity only, leaving out the 53 remaining instances of materiality in the way described for the I element. And in the way described therein also defines the elements of the ear, nose, tongue, and body as ear base, nose base, tongue base, body base. He defines 5 states that are their respective objective fields of visible database, sound-based, order-based, flavor-based, and tangible database. He defines the 7 mundane consciousness elements as mind-based. He defines the contact, etc., associated with, and also the remaining instances of materiality as mental database. So here, 10.5 bases are materiality, and 1.5 bases are mentality. This is how one meditator defines mentality materially by means of the 12 bases. 4. Definition based on the aggregates. Another defines it more briefly than by the means of aggregates. How? Here, a bhikshu defines as the materiality aggregate as the following 27 instances of materiality. That is the 17 instances of materiality consisting of the 4 primaries, the 4-fold origination in this body, and dependent colors, orders, flavor, and nutritive essences. 5 sensitive beginning with the eye sensitivity and the materiality of the physical, heart, basis, sex, life faculty, and sound of 12-fold origination, which 17 instances of materiality are suitable for comprehension, since they are produced and are instances of concrete materiality, and then the 10 instances of materiality, that is bodily for intimation, verbal intimation, the sense element, and the lightness, malleability, willingness, growth, continuity, aging, and impermanence of materiality, which 10 instances of materiality are, however, not suitable for comprehension, since they are merely model mode alteration and the limitation of interval. They are not produced and are not concrete materiality, but they are reckoned as materiality because they are mode alteration and limitation of interval or various instances of materiality. So he defines all the 27 instances of materiality as the materiality aggregate. He defines the feeling that arises together with the 81 kinds of mundane consciousness as the feeling aggregate, the perception associated therein with the perception aggregate, formation associated with as formation aggregate, and the consciousness as the consciousness aggregate. So by defining the materiality aggregates and materiality and the four immaterial aggregate as mentality, he defines the mentality materially by means of the five aggregates. 5. A brief definition based on the four primaries. Another discerns materiality in his person briefly thus. Any kind of materiality, whatever all consists of the four primary elements, and the materiality derived from the four primary elements, and he likewise discerns the mind base as a part of the mental data based on mental. Then he defines mentality materiality in brief thus. These mentality and materiality are called mentality materiality. If the immaterial fails to become evident, but if he has discerned materiality in one of these ways, and while he is trying to discern the immaterial, it does not become evident to him owing to its subtlety, then he should not give up, but should again and again comprehend, give attention to, discern, and define materiality only, for in purport of the materiality becomes quite definite, disentangled, and quite clear to him. So the immaterial states that have that material as their object become plain of themselves too. Just as when a man with eye looks for the reflection of his face in a dirty looking glass and see no reflection, he does not throw the looking glass away because reflection does not appear. And on the contrary, he polishes again and again, and then the reflection becomes plain in itself when the looking in glass is clean. And just as when a man needing oil puts sesame flour in a basin and wets it with water, and no oil comes out with only one or two pressings, he does not throw the sesame flour away, but in the contrary he wets it again and again with hot water and squeezes it, presses, and he does so clear sesame seed comes out. Or just as when a man wanting to clarify water has taken a cocuta nut and put his hand inside the pot, he rubs it once and twice, water does not come clear. He does not throw the cocuta nut away. On the contrary, he rubs it again and again, and as he does so, the fine mud subsides and water becomes transparent and clear. So too, bhikshu should not give up, but she should again and again comprehend, give attention to, discern, and define materiality only. For in proportion as materiality become quite definite, disentangled, and quite clear to him, so the defilements that are opposing him in subside, his consciousness become clear like the water above the precipitated mud, and the immaterial states that have that materiality at the object become plain of themselves too. And this meaning can also be explained in this way by other analogies, such as the pressing of sugarcane, a beating of criminals to make them confess, and the taming of an ox, churning of the curds to produce butter, and the cooking of fish. 3 ways in which the immaterial state become evident. When he has quite cleared up his discerning of materiality, then the immaterial states become evident to him through one of the 3 aspects, that is, through contact, through feeling, and through consciousness. How? 1. A. When he discerns the four primary elements in the way of beginning, the earth element has the characteristic of hardness. Contact becomes evident to him as the first conjunction. Then feeling associated with that as the feeling of feeling aggregate, the associated perception as the perception aggregate, associated volition together with the aforesaid contact with the formation aggregate, and the associated consciousness as the consciousness aggregate. Likewise, when he has discerned them in this way, in the head here is the earth element that has characteristic of hardness. So in the in-breath and out-breath, it is the earth element that has the characteristic of hardness. Contact becomes evident, the first conjunction. Then the feeling associated with it as the feeling aggregate, associated with consciousness, the consciousness aggregate, and so on. This is how immaterial states become evident through contact. 2. To another who discerns the four primary elements in a way of beginning, the earth element has the characteristic of hardness, the feeling that has that as its object, experience its stimuli as pleasant, etc. become evident as feeling aggregates. Perception associated with that is perception aggregate. Contact with the volition aggregate that as the formation aggregate, and the consciousness associated with it that a consciousness aggregate. 2. Likewise, one who discerns them in this way, in the head hair, likewise to one who discerns there in this way, in the head hair is in the earth element that is the characteristic of hardness. In the in-breath or out-breath, it is the earth element that has the characteristic of hardness, and feeling that has that as its object and experience, its stimuli becomes evident as the feeling aggregate, and the consciousness associated with that and the consciousness aggregate. This is how immaterial states become evident through feeling. 3. To another who discerns the four primary elements in the way beginning, the earth element has the characteristic of hardness. The consciousness that cognizes the object become evident as the consciousness aggregate feeling, associated with it as the feeling aggregate, associated perception as the perception aggregate, associated with contact with the volition of the formation aggregate. 3. Likewise, the one who discerns them in either way, in the head hair is the earth element that has the characteristic of hardness. In the in-breath and out-breath is the earth element that has the characteristic of hardness, and consciousness that cognizes the object becomes evident as the consciousness aggregate, and the associated contact and volition as the formation aggregate. This is how the material states become evident through consciousness. In the case of the way of discerning materiality as consisting of the 42 aspects of the elements, beginning with the head hair, that is 32 aspects of the body, 4 aspects of the fire element, 6 aspects of the air element, either by these same means given above, or by means of method beginning. In the karma originated head hair is the earth element that has the characteristic of hardness. And also, in the case of the methods discerning materiality as the consisting of I, etc., by means of the 4 primary elements in each, consisting should be done by working out all the differences in each method. Now, it is only when he has become quite sure about discerning materiality clearly in this way that immaterial states become quite evident to him in three aspects. Therefore, he should only undertake the task of discerning the immaterial states after he has completed that, not otherwise. If he leaves off discerning immateriality when, say, one or two material states have become evident, in order to begin discerning the immaterial, then he falls from his meditation subject like the mountain cow already described under the development of earth Kachina. But if he undertakes the task of discerning the immaterial after he is already quite sure about discerning materiality thus, then his meditation subject comes to growth, increase, and perfection. There is no being apart from mere mentality and materiality. He defines the form in material aggregates that have thus become the evident through contact, etc., as mentality, and he defines their object, namely the four primaries, and the materiality derived from the four primaries, as materiality. So, as one who opens a box with a knife, as one who splits twin penumbra bulb in two, he defines all the states of three planes, the 18 elements, 12 bases, 5 aggregates, in the double ways of mentality, materiality, and he concludes that over and above mere mentality, materiality, there is nothing else, that there is a being or a person or a deity or a Brahma. After defining mentality, materiality, thus according to its true nature, then in order to abandon this worldly designation of a being and a person more thoroughly, to surmount confusion about beings, and to establish his mind on the plane of non-confusion, he makes sure that the meaning defined, namely, there is a mere mentality, materiality, there is no being, no person, no confirmed by a number of sutras. For this has been said, as with assembly of parts, the word chariot is countenance, so when aggregates are present, as a being is said in common usage. Again, this has been said, just as when a space is enclosed with timber and creepers and grass and clay, there comes to be term house. So too, when space is enclosed with bones and sinews and flesh and skin, there comes to be the term material form rupa. And again, this has been said, it is ill alone that arise, ill that remains, ill that departs. Nothing rise else than ill, and nothing cease else than ill. So, in many hundred suttas, it is only mentality, materiality that is illustrated, not a being, not a person. Therefore, just as when the component parts, such as axles, wheels, frames, poles, etc., are arranged in a certain way, there comes to be mere terms of common usage chariot, as yet in the ultimate sense, when each part is examined, there is no chariot. And just as when the component parts of the house has a house such as wattles, etc., are placed so that they enclose a space in a certain way, there comes to be the mere term of common usage house. Yet in the ultimate sense, there is no house, and just as when the fingers, thumbs, etc., are placed on a certain way, there comes to be the mere term of usage fist, which with body and strings, lute and elephants, horses, etc., army with surrounding walls, house, states, etc., city, just as when trunks, branches, foliage, etc., are placed in a certain way, there comes to be the mere term of common usage tree. Yet in the ultimate sense, when each component is examined, there is no tree. Not so too, when there are the 5 aggregates as object of clinging, there comes to be a mere term of common usage of being a person. Yet in the ultimate sense, when each component is examined, there is no being as a basis of the assumption I am or I. In the ultimate sense, there is only mentality materiality. The vision of one who sees in this way is called correct vision. But when a man rejects this correct vision and assumes that a permanent being exists, he has to conclude either comes to be an annihilated or that does not. If he concludes that it does not come to be annihilated, he falls into the eternity view. If he concludes that he does come to be annihilated, he falls into annihilation view. Why? Because the assumption precludes any gradual change. And that like that of milk into curd. So he either holds back, concludes that the assumed being is eternal, or he overreaches, concluding that it comes to be annihilated. Hence the Blessed One said, there are two kinds of view, bhikshus, and one, when deities and human beings are obsessed by them, some hold back, and some overreach. Only those with eyes see. And how do some hold back? Deities and human beings love becoming, delight in becoming, rejoice in becoming. When Dhamma is taught to them for the season of becoming, their minds do not enter into it, become settled, steady, and resolute. Thus, it is the same hold back. And how do we overreach? Some are ashamed, humiliated, disgusted by the same becoming. They are concerned with the becoming in this area. Sirs, when with the breakup of the body, this self is cut off, annihilated, does not become any more after death, that is peaceful, that is sublime, that is true. Thus it is that same overreach. And how do those with eye see? Here a bhikshu sees what is become as become. Having seen what is become as become, he has entered upon the way to dispassion for it, to the fading away of greed for it, for its cessation. This is how one with eye sees. Therefore, just as a marionette is void, soulless, and without curiosity, and while it walks and stands merely through the combination of strings and wood, yet it sees as if it is curiosity and interconnectedness. So too, this mentality material is void, soulless, and without curiosity, and while it walks and stands merely through the combination of the two together, yet it seems as if it had curiosity, interestedness. This is how it should be regarded. Hence the ancient said, the mental and material are really here, but here there is no human being to be found. For it is void and merely fashioned like a doll, just suffering piled up like grass and sticks. Interdependence of mentality and materiality. And this should be explained. This should be explained not only by means of simile of marionette, but also by means of analogies of the sheaves of reeds and so on. For just as when two sheaves of reeds are propped one against another, each one gives the other's consolidating support, and when one falls, the other falls, so too the five constituent becoming mentality materiality occurs as interdependent states, each of its components giving the other consolidating support. When one falls into death, the other falls too. Hence the ancients have said, the mental and material are twins, and each supports the other. When one breaks up, they both break up through interconditionality. And just as when sound occurs having as a support drum that is beaten by a stick, then the drum is one and the sound is another. The drum and the sound are not mixed up together. The drum is void of the sound and sound is void of the drum. So too, when mentality occurs having the support of the material called physical base, the door and the object, then the materiality is one with the mentality is another. The mentality and material are not mixed up together. The mentality is void of materiality and material is void of mentality. Yet the mentality occurs due to materiality as the sound occurs due to the drum. Hence the ancients have said, the pentad based on contact comes not from the eye or from things seen or something that is in between. Due to the cause it comes to be and formed as well. Just as sound that issues from the beaten drum, the pentad based on contact comes not from the ear, or yet from sound or something that is in between due to our cause. The pentad based on contact comes in from the nose, or yet from smells, or sometimes that is in between due to our cause. A pentad based on contact comes not from tongue, or yet from taste, or something that is in between due to cause. The pentad based on contact comes not from the body, or yet from touch, or something that is in between due to our cause. Being formed, it does not come from material basis, nor does it issue from the mental datum base. Due to a cause, it comes to be formed as well, just as the sound that comes from a beaten drum. Furthermore, mentality has no efficient power. It cannot occur by its own efficient power. It does not eat, it does not drink, it does not speak, it does not adopt postures, and materiality is without efficient power. It cannot occur by its own efficient power, for it has no desire to eat, it has no desire to drink, it has no desire to speak, it has no desire to adopt postures, but rather it is when supported materiality with mentality occurs, and it is when supported by mentality that materiality occurs. When mentality has desire to eat, desire to drink, desire to speak, desire to adopt posture, it is materiality that eats, drinks, speaks, and adopt pleasure. But for the purpose of explaining this meaning, they give this simile as an example. A man born blind and stool crawling cripple wanted to go somewhere. The blind man said to the cripple, "Look, I can do what should be done by legs, but I have no eyes with which to see what is rough and smooth." The cripple said, "Look, I can do what should be done by eyes, but I have no legs with which to go and come." The blind man was delighted, and he made the cripple climb up on his shoulder. Sitting on the blind man's shoulder, the cripple spoke thus: Leave the left, take the right, leave the right, take the left." Herein, the blind man has no efficient power. He is impotent. He cannot. I'm blind here. Very good example. Yeah, you are it. He cannot travel by his own efficient power, by his own strength, and the cripple has no efficient power. He is impotent. He cannot travel by his own efficient power, by his own strength. But there is nothing to prevent their going when they support each other. So too, mentality has no no efficient power. It does not arise or occur in such and such functions by its own efficient power. When and materiality has no efficient power, it does not arise or occur in such and such functions by its own efficient power, but there is nothing to prevent their occurrence when they support each other. Hence it is said, they cannot come to be by their own strength, or yet maintain themselves by their own strength, relying for support on each estate, weak in themselves, and formed they come to be. They come to be with others as condition. They are aroused by others as their objects. They are produced by objects and condition, and each by something other than itself. That, and just as man depends upon a boat for traversing the sea, so does the mental body need the matter body for occurrence. And as the boat depends upon the man for traversing the sea, so does the matter body need the mental body for occurrence. Depending upon the other, the boat and the man go onto the sea. So do mind and body to depend on one another. The correct vision of mentality and materiality, which after defining mentality and materiality by these various methods, has been established as the plane of non-confusion by overcoming the perception of a being, is what should be understood as a purification view. Other terms for these are defining mentality materiality as delimitation of formation. The 18th chapter, called the description of purification view, in the treatise on the development of understanding the path of purification, composed for the purpose of gladdening good people who has no eyes. There's no good people with the eyes. Okay, thank you, everybody. We finished that chapter. So let's do the dedication. Mary, thank you for everybody's very good attention and company to listen and try to understand the dependent origination and how to negotiate ourselves so that we do not get stuck. That one is this, another is not. Everything is totally dependent. So therefore, we have no reason to develop clinging or grasping as we are devoid of ignorance when they are not supported by formation and other conditionings. By this matter, the deformance whatever merit I have, may hope becomes and levels to hold the Mahayana Digi, Regiment Renewed as a man the Buddha de life. Following all the example, I shall dedicate all the mere Selem Bodhi Jida Tebe Vedanayadaza, where has been bomed freely without the generation. Thank you, everyone.